I know how you are feeling right now. You feel frustrated. You feel exhausted. And if we're being 100% honest, you probably feel a little bit stupid. You're looking at your screen, wondering how you just managed to give back an entire week's worth of profits in 20 minutes. You're wondering why you entered that trade when it didn't even meet your rules. You're wondering why, despite reading all the books and watching all the videos, you are still making the same rookie mistakes over and over again. I know that feeling because I sat in it for 3 years. For 3 years, I went to bed staring at the ceiling, trying to calculate how I was going to make back the money I lost. I felt like I was broken. I thought, maybe I'm just not smart enough for this. Maybe I'm just not disciplined enough. But I have good news for you. You aren't stupid, and you aren't broken. The reason you are struggling isn't because you don't know how to read a chart. It's because you are trying to do something that is biologically unnatural. You are trying to force a brain that evolved to hunt for food and run from predators to sit calm and rational in a high-risk environment. Your brain is literally wired to sabotage your trading. It took me 3 painful years to realize that I didn't need a better strategy. I needed to hack my own biology. In this video, I'm going to share the neuroscience behind why we lose money and the specific mental shifts I made to finally stop the bleeding and become profitable. For those first 3 years, my life was stuck on a loop. I call it the cycle of doom. And if you've been trading for more than 6 months, I guarantee you know exactly what I'm talking about. It usually starts on a Saturday. You're scrolling through YouTube and you see a thumbnail that screams 95% win rate scalping strategy. You click it. The guy explains how if the RSI crosses 70 and the moving average is pointing up, it's basically free money. You get excited. You feel that rush of hope. You think, this is it. This is the missing piece I've been looking for. So Monday morning comes around. You're ready. You take the first trade. Boom, profit. You take the second trade. Boom, another winner. And this is the most dangerous moment in a trader's life because suddenly your ego takes the wheel. You start doing the math in your head. You pull out the calculator app and think, okay, if I make 2% a day, compounded, I'll be a millionaire by next December. You start mentally spending money you haven't made yet. But then, Tuesday happens. You get the setup. You enter. But this time, the market flushes against you. You take a loss. Now, a professional would say, okay, part of the game. But you don't do that. You feel attacked. You feel like the market just reached into your pocket and stole from you. So what do? You try to get it back. You enter a trade that isn't quite the strategy, but it looks close enough. It goes against you. Now you're down 4%. The panic sets in. You double the position size to cover the losses. By the time the market closes, you haven't just lost the profit from Monday, you've dug a hole so deep you can't see the sunlight. And here is the kicker. Here is why the cycle never ends. You don't blame yourself. You blame the strategy. You sit there and say, well, that RSI strategy is trash. It doesn't work in this market condition. The market is rigged. So you go back to YouTube. You find a new video. Maybe this time it's smart money concepts or supply and demand. You scrub the charts, you reset your demo account, and you start the whole thing over again. I did this for 3 years. I was like a hamster on a wheel. I was running as hard as I could, sweating, stressing, losing sleep. But I wasn't moving an inch. I genuinely believed that trading was a technical problem. I thought if I just found the magic indicator or the secret algorithm, the money would flow. But here's the hard truth I wish someone had told me back then. I could have handed my past self a winning strategy with a 70% win rate, and I still would have lost money. Why? Because I was mentally weak. I didn't have the hardware to handle the software. I was trying to drive a Formula One car, but I panicked every time I hit a corner. The turning point for me didn't come from a massive winning trade. It actually came when I quit. I'm serious. I stepped away. I closed my brokerage account. I deleted TradingView from my phone, and I told myself, I am done. I spent about 2 weeks just existing. I wasn't looking at charts. I was just reading, and not books about Japanese candlesticks or Elliott wave theory. I started reading about us, about humans, about how we think. I picked up books like Thinking, Fast and Slow and The Hour Between Dog and Wolf. And as I turned those pages, something clicked. It was like a light switch flipping on in a dark room. I realized trading is the most unnatural thing a human being can do. Think about how you survive in the real world. If you're walking down the street and you see a threat, maybe a guy with a knife or a wild dog, what does your body do? It screams at you to run. It tells you to get away from the pain. That instinct keeps you alive. But in trading, when the market crashes and everyone is panicking, That is usually the exact moment you're supposed to buy. Or think about hard work. In the real world, if you want to make more money, you work more hours. You push harder, you grind. In trading, if you try to push harder, you end up overtrading, forcing setups that aren't there and blowing your account. The harder you try, the more you lose. Everything that makes you a successful, functioning human being in the real world makes you a terrible trader. I realized my brain wasn't broken. It was actually working perfectly. It was trying to protect me from pain. It was trying to keep me safe. But the problem was I was bringing a survival kit to a probability game. And that is when I stopped studying the market and I started studying the machine that was making the decisions. Me. Neuroscience. Part 1. The Caveman in the Casino. Visual note, return to center frame. Maybe a graphic pops up occasionally, but focus remains on your storytelling. So let's get real about what is happening under the hood. We need to talk about the caveman living inside your head. Scientists call this the amygdala. It's this tiny almond-shaped part of your brain, right deep in the center. And you have to understand, this part of your brain hasn't had an update in about 50,000 years. It doesn't know what a stock market is. It doesn't know what Bitcoin is. It only knows one thing: survival. Back in the day, a threat was a saber-toothed tiger hiding in the bushes. When your amygdala saw that tiger, it didn't stop to analyze the situation. It didn't think, let me calculate the risk-to-reward ratio of fighting this cat. No. It hijacked your body immediately. It dumped adrenaline into your blood. It narrowed your vision so you focused only on the danger. It shut down digestion and routed all your blood to your legs so you could run. Now, fast forward to today. You are sitting in your nice ergonomic chair looking at a screen. You enter a trade. The candle turns red. You see that negative number, minus $100, minus $200. Here's the problem. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a realized loss. To your brain, losing money feels like a physical threat to your life. It triggers the exact same biological panic button. This is why when a trade goes against you, you physically feel it. Your palms get sweaty. Your heart starts thumping against your ribs. You get that hot flash in your neck. And here's the scary part. When the amygdala takes over, it literally unplugs your rational brain. There's a concept called loss aversion. It basically says that the pain of losing money hurts twice as much as the joy of making money feels good. So when that trade goes red, you aren't a trader anymore. You are a cornered animal. You think, I can't take this pain. I have to make it stop. So what do? You move your stop loss. That is your brain trying to run away from the pain of accepting the loss. You're telling yourself, if I don't close it, it's not real. And when you finally blow the account, that's the freeze response. You just sit there staring at the zeros, completely paralyzed. For 3 years, I thought I was analyzing the market. I wasn't. I was just having a biological panic response and calling it a trading strategy. But fear is only half the battle. If the amygdala is the devil on your left shoulder, the devil on your right shoulder is even sneakier. It's dopamine. We usually think of dopamine as the happiness chemical, but that's not really accurate. Dopamine is the craving chemical. It's what makes you check your phone every 5 minutes. It's what keeps you scrolling on TikTok at 2 a.m. And in trading, it turns the market into a slot machine. See, there is a psychological concept called a variable reward schedule. If you go to a job, you work an hour, you get paid $20. It's predictable. It's consistent. And honestly, it's boring. Your brain doesn't get excited by predictable things. But trading is different. You press the buy button and you don't know what's going to happen. You might lose. You might make $50. You might make $5,000. That uncertainty is like crack cocaine for your brain. I remember this one specific trade in my second year. I was down for the month. I was frustrated. So I threw my risk management out the window. I opened a position size that was 5 times bigger than normal. No stop loss. Just pure gambling. And I won. The chart shot up. I made back my entire month's losses in 10 minutes. I felt like a god. I felt like a genius. The rush was incredible, but that win was actually the worst thing that could have happened to me. Why? Because my brain learned the wrong lesson. My brain didn't register, hey, that was stupid and dangerous. Don't do that again. My brain registered, high risk equals high reward. Do that again. I had essentially trained myself to be a gambling addict. After that big win, normal trading felt boring. Following my rules felt slow. I was subconsciously looking for that next big high. I would have 2 weeks of perfect, disciplined trading. And then on a random Friday afternoon, I'd get bored. I'd take a massive, stupid trade just to feel something, and I'd give it all back. I realized I wasn't losing because I didn't know how to trade. I was losing because I was addicted to the action. My brain didn't want a slow, steady 2% gain. My brain wanted the fireworks. And the market loves people who want fireworks. It takes their money and gives it to the people who are bored. So, here we are. We know the amygdala wants to make you panic, and we know your dopamine receptors want you to gamble. The question is, how do we fix it? You can't just decide to be unemotional. That's like deciding not to be hungry. It doesn't work. Instead, you have to physically override the system. You need to take the steering wheel away from the caveman and give it to the prefrontal cortex. That's this part right behind your forehead. It's the CEO of your brain. It handles logic, math, and long-term planning. But here's the catch. The CEO is lazy, and it shuts down under stress. So I developed a 3-step protocol to force my CEO to stay awake. Step 1 is the physiological reset. This sounds simple, but it saved my account more times than I can count. You have to understand, you cannot think your way out of a panic attack. You have to use your body. If I am in a trade and I feel my heart rate spike, even a little bit, I have a hard rule. I am not allowed to make a decision. I literally take my hand off the mouse. I stand up, I look away from the screen, and I take 5 deep, slow breaths. I'm not doing this to be zen. I'm doing it for biology. Deep breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, which physically sends a signal to your brain to shut off the adrenaline. It forces the amygdala to stand down and brings the prefrontal cortex back online. Never make a trading decision while your heart is beating fast. Never. Step 2 is what I call shrinking the tiger. Remember how I said your brain treats a loss like a saber-toothed tiger? Well, we need to turn that tiger into a house cat. If you are scared to pull the trigger, or if you are sweating while the trade is open, your position size is too big. Period. If losing $500 triggers your fight or flight response, but losing $50 doesn't, then you have no business trading $500. For about 6 months, I dropped my position size to almost nothing. I was trading such small amounts that winning or losing meant absolutely nothing to my bank account. It was boring. But that was the point. I had to desensitize my brain. I had to teach my amygdala that seeing a red candle didn't mean I was going to die. You have to earn the right to trade bigger by proving you can trade small without freaking out. Step 3 is the if-then system. The prefrontal cortex gets tired easily. It's called decision fatigue. If you are trying to decide where to exit while the candle is moving up and down, you are going to make a mistake. So I stopped making decisions during the trade. I treat myself like 2 different people. There is the planner who shows up before the market opens, and the executor who pushes the buttons. The planner is the CEO. He writes the rules. He says, if price hits this level, then I buy. If price hits this stop loss, then I exit. Once the trade is open, the planner goes home. I am just the executor. I am a robot. I don't get to have an opinion. I don't get to feel like the market is going to turn around. I just execute the code that the planner wrote. If you remove the decision-making process from the heat of the moment, you remove the emotion. I want to leave you with one final piece of reality. I've been profitable for a while now, but I don't want you to think that I've turned into some kind of emotionless trading robot. I still feel fear. When I'm in a drawdown, my stomach still turns. When I'm up big, I still feel that urge to close the trade early and bank the cash. The difference between me now and the version of me that was losing money 3 years ago isn't that I stopped having emotions. You can't delete your emotions. You are human. The difference is that I don't let those emotions drive the car anymore. Think of your trading mind like a vehicle. For the first 3 years, I let my amygdala, that scared, panic-stricken caveman, sit in the driver's seat. And I let my dopamine addiction hold the map. Of course I crashed. Now? I put those emotions in the back seat. They can scream, they can cry, they can tell me to run. But they are not allowed to touch the steering wheel. The prefrontal cortex drives. Logic drives. The plan drives. If you are stuck in that cycle we talked about at the beginning, restarting your account, blaming your strategy, feeling like you're broken, I need you to stop. Stop looking for a better indicator. Your strategy is probably fine. Start looking at your biology. Forgive yourself for the losses you've made. You weren't being stupid. You were just fighting millions of years of evolution without a weapon. But now you know how the machine works. So trade small, breathe, and let the logic win. If this video gave you that aha moment, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps the algorithm get this message to other traders who are struggling just like we did. Thanks for watching. Keep your head straight, and I'll see you in the next one.